Hello, guys. Welcome to our podcast for this week. And here, this week, we're talking about well-being and health. And with me, I have Liz Covarrubia. Liz, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
Very good, very good. Welcome to your podcast.
Thank you so much. Well, let me please introduce myself. I'm a doctor, and we're talking about depression.
Perfect.
So I have a few questions for you.
Yeah,
And
sure.
let's start it. What do you think of when you think about the word health?
I think that means being with yourself and knowing what is best for your mind because you only have one life and you have to keep it and in a good way without bad thoughts and in a good moment.
Okay, thank you. That's a really good answer. And what does well-being mean for you?
For me, it means to be one with yourself spiritually, physically, and mentally. For this, the family factor is very important because they help me to become a better person and achieve my goals in a short term and medium term.
Okay, thank you so much. And who lives with health issues?
Actually, all of us have health issues. At least one time in our lives had health problems. It's important that things that we impacted each other, we have to treat it with our expert and see evolution in our problems.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And where do we see the different problem? This different problem.
Yeah, sure. Actually, we see it culturally, socially. We may perceive health problems differently, both psychologically and physically, actually.
Okay, yes, totally agree with you. Interesting. So, how do people end up living with health problems? Do you know?
First, they start with themselves, identifying the problem and seeing what they can do to go and evolution the problem. And then they go to if they don't have find a remedy, they go to for an expert and they can encourage the better choices and help their problem out.
Okay, yes, yes, absolutely. And what are some statistics that you know associate with this issue?
Yeah, sure. According to the World Health Association, depression is a common illness throughout the world, and it's estimated that up to 3.8% of the population has this illness. So we have to embrace it, and then we have to help each other to find a cure.
Yes, absolutely. So, in what ways can rich countries, do you think, can help to reduce mental health in poorer countries?
I believe that countries with a strong economic should support problems such as this by funding psychological help, by funding the therapy sessions or something like that, so the population can be really themselves and be better with their family, their job, and be one with the country.
Okay, yes. And do you think health and well-being are a bigger problem now than it was in the past?
Yes, actually, because they are different factors and it influence the increased number of problems. So I think it is.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And what effect on our health does the modern world have?
In
Do-
fact, the modern world, sorry. In fact, the modern world with a lot of influence of social media, networking, actually it's that what happens because you have a perfect life and you have to show it. So that's why I think social work Yes, I think that is going through the roof.
Yes, absolutely. So our final question. It is possible to remain healthy in the modern world, do you think?
Yes, I think it's possible because in fact there is associations that help with all kinds of mental illness and problems. Every time you feel down, you try to talk with someone, with family. That's why you have a great family, with friends, and if they don't seem to be the perfect fit for your problem, you should go for a professional help. Actually,
Okay, okay, totally agree. Thank you so much for your answers. They were really, really interesting. So, well, now you can ask me whatever you want.
perfect. Okay, Liz. What do you think when you talk about so when you hear the word help, what comes to your mind?
Well, as an expert, I think that health means and involves body, social, environment, and mind. But most of all, I consider that health needs to start with our health mind because this is the most important organ that the human being must preserve.
Perfect, perfect. And what do you think about well-being? So what well-being means to you?
Well, to me, it means being well in all the aspects of your life, not just physically. For this, I consider it is very important to have financial health, family stability, a goal to achieve, and most of all, we need love.
I agree. I actually agree. I agree. Who lives and by any chance, do you know who lives with mental illness issues? Sorry.
Well, as you mentioned, health issues and mental issues, unfortunately, in our modern world, most of the people have health issues, and everyone has a different kind of issues. So yeah, it's very common to have at least one kind of issue in our lives.
And where do we see these different problems?
Well, every day in our life, uh, for example, I can mention you depression. Depression is the most famous and common disease, and there are different types of depression, and it can affect us in different ages. For example, middle age, when the adults start to be old or needy of healthy. The youngest, also because of relationship, sorry, or school problems, I don't know, different.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And how do people end up living with health problems in this age?
Well, in my experience, when you have a health problem which no longer has a solution because it is a chronic disease, for example, or
Mhm.
terminal illness, or a disease of birth, what remains is to live with it by adapting it, this disease, to your daily life. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. And do you have some statistics of this issue?
Well, as you mentioned it before, I have one from World Health Organization. And as a consequence of COVID-19, the depression increased by 25% in 22 in or worldwide, which means that depression is the most common disease nowadays.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know that. Thanks for the input. And for in which way the rich countries can help the mental health in illness?
Well, most of the investigations from experts say that a crowdfunding sounds good idea. Perhaps if the governments raise money and create these campaigns to raise awareness of depression. It could help to raise awareness and create new hospitals to help combat depression, just as you mentioned it a few minutes ago.
Nice, nice. I really agree. Do you think health and well-being are a bigger problem now that it was in the past?
Well, I think that maybe in the past, not so much, but I think that there was depression, but it was not heard so much. Nowadays, it's very common to hear that someone has depression. It's more common to know this disease.
Perfect. And what effects it's on our health does in this modern world? So what do you think in the modern world affects our health and well-being?
Well, most part of the world absolutely has an effect of our lives as we function in it all the time, day in, day out, which is why we require a healthy environment, a healthy relationships, a healthy education, and these stuffs.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And for the final question, is it possible to remain healthy in this modern world?
Yes, totally. However, we must get help from our loved ones, for example, the family, from the government itself, as I mentioned it before, with the campaigns and these stuffs,
Mhm.
and from our friends and from these organizations dedicated to treating all types of health issues. So, yes.
Perfect, perfect. Well, with this, we finish the interview. And Liz, thank you for being here. And I hope we can see each other soon.
Thank you so
See
much
you.
to you. Goodbye, guys. See you.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.